y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make a blackberry pie. I grow these outside my yard, so I always have, every summer I always have a fresh supply. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to show y'all how to make use of some of that. So we're going to make a blackberry pie today. You need to preheat your oven to 375. And I got the ready to bake rollout pie crust. So I've already put those, put the one crust, my bottom crust in, and pricked it with a fork. I've got it set aside. Blackberries, I picked them fresh and then I freeze them. So I decided to dust them with a little bit of all-purpose flour to try to cut down on the juice because I didn't want it to be too wet. So I've already done that. And they're ready for me to add the rest of my ingredients. So you're going to need 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And that is 1, 2, 3. We're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla. You can do extract or imitation, doesn't matter. Okay. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'll try to just eyeball it. Okay. Don't want to get too crazy with the cinnamon. And we're going to need a half a cup of all-purpose flour. I have that right here. So everything goes in here except our butter, milk, and brown sugar. Okay, so I can push this back a little bit so you can see. So it's really easy. It's not that difficult. And you can take these crust out and roll them out more. I just never take the time to do it. I usually just press it in place and it usually works. Okay, so we'll put all this in. Spread it all out. And then we're going to take a stick of unsalted butter. And you only need about 3 tablespoons, but I'm going to cut my 3 tablespoons even smaller. So that I have more to spread, if that makes sense. Ugh. I took it out of the fridge so it's still cold. Alright, and also I would just like to point out that you need to preheat your oven, like I said earlier, but don't put your pie in there until it's completely preheated. Okay, so I'm just going to cut these up a little bit so where we have a little bit more here and there. Okay. All right. Let me get the second crust ready. Okay, so I'm just gonna carefully unroll this. Hang on just a second. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of pinch it along the sides. usually just tuck it under instead of cutting the excess off. Now you can do that. It's not the prettiest, but it works. But I was getting to where I was accumulating so much dough that I didn't have anything to do with it. You know, when the kids were little, I could, you know, do certain little things with it, but as they've gotten bigger, it's been harder to make use of some of this. My husband's just not interested, you know. So, it's not the most perfect, but it'll work. Okay. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is I'm going to take this knife that I cut my butter with, and we're just going to cut slits in it. And I usually just little, and then I can poke around a little bit, but mostly I put the little eggs in the center so that the steam can escape. Alright, now let me go get my brown sugar. I completely forgot. Hang on. Okay, so I got me a little bit of milk, just a couple of teaspoonfuls. And I'm just going to brush this on the top. Okay. Then I'm going to just take a little bit of brown sugar and sprinkle on top of that. Nothing crazy, just trying to sweeten the top some too. Okay, so you're going to stick this in a 425 degree oven. I don't know why I told you 375 first. You're going to do that after. So 425 degree oven for 15 minutes, and then you're going to reduce the heat to 375 like I said earlier. Sorry about that. And we're going to do that for 20 to 25 more minutes until it's brown on top. So that's pretty much the gist. Now, like everything I do, trying to make less of a mess. So it's really hard to get a syrup off of a cookie sheet. So foil lined cookie sheet or baking sheet, then stick your pie on it. Okay, so you can use frozen fruit, but you need to try to help absorb as much liquid as possible for when they melt. And I just coated them lightly in flour. I do realize that I had put flour in there, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too watery. So we'll see how it turns out. 425 for the first 15 minutes, and then we reduce the heat to 375 for another 20 to 25 minutes until it's done. All right, I'll be back in a few. Okay, y'all, so this is the finished product. A little bit more watery than I had wanted. I did do things to try to prevent that, but it literally is just swimming in juice. But, you know, some people are okay with that. I wanted something a little more drier. And so if you have any tips, please leave them down below, because I do not know how to fix that. I'm sure it's going to still taste great, and everybody will still have, you know, they'll still have some, so that's all that matters. But, yeah, make sure you leave some tips below if you've got a way to combat this. I sure don't know what it would be. But we're also going to make a savory pie recipe. The pie's name is a tomato pie recipe, Southern style. So it's going to be a tomato pie. I was told that it originates in the Deep South. Some people say particularly Alabama, which is where I'm from. It's supposed to be really good. I see where it's kind of similar to, I guess, a pizza. but it's a little bit different, of course. So we're just gonna go with that. So a savory pie made with some summer ripe tomatoes. The ones you grow would probably be the best. The ones that you grow outside in your yard, in your vegetable garden. But if you gotta get some from the store, it's not a big deal. Just use those. I've got Roma tomatoes. Supposed to be the best ones to use for this. Because they're less juicy and wet. And so I've already sliced them. It was 5 Roma tomatoes. I sliced them. I put some salt on them. Not salt substitute. It needs to be salt. And then I let them just, you know, get as much liquid out of them as possible. It's supposed to bring all the liquid out. I've already changed the paper towels once, and now that's what's left. And I've been kind of dabbing them off, trying to get all the salt off. Hopefully they won't be too salty. I'm a little bit worried about that, but we're going to go on anyway. You need to preheat your oven to 375. I've already got my pie crust ready. You need to take your pie crust. Store-bought would be probably best. You can do whatever, but store-bought is what I used. And I poked some holes in the bottom of it with a fork. Here, let me see if I can grab it because it's still hot. And then you kind of put it in the oven, 375 degree oven for about 10 minutes so that you can cook it just a little bit in the bottom because this is kind of wet. It's a cross between like a tart kind of thing, and you kind of want the crust to be a little bit cooked beforehand. Okay, so while everything is resting and waiting, we're going to go ahead and mix up all of our little things that go in this. And it's actually quite simple. It doesn't really consist of too many big ingredients. You should be able to find any of these in your grocery store. So let's just go ahead and get some of this ready. Okay, so part of your topping is going to be a cheese topping. You're going to need mozzarella and cheddar, a cup of each. And you're going to need some mayo. Now everybody around here uses Duke's mayonnaise, but I go through so much mayonnaise that I can't, I have to have big jars of it. So we're just gonna go with what you have. I don't think there'll be any problem with that. You're gonna need about 3/4 of a cup. I've already put one in, 1/4. Okay. And you're gonna mix this with your cheese. There's a 2/4. I'm gonna do one more. Now it is best to use fresh vegetables for this. You're gonna need some green onion. You're gonna need some tomatoes, of course, and fresh basil. Well, I wasn't thinking. So we're gonna have to just use your dry basil because I didn't realize that it would make, I don't think it makes a big, huge difference, but it could pack a lot of flavor. But I didn't want to waste my money on that because I don't use fresh basil often. I just use my dry. So hopefully it'll still be fine. I mean, we need 10 fresh basil leaves, so you gotta have about 1/4 of a cup of fresh basil. I'm not sure how that's gonna translate over into dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just eyeball what I think it should be. Not a big basil fan anyway. I do prefer it over certain other spices, or, you know, seasonings. But not gonna worry about it too much. All right, so with your cheese, make sure y'all can see still. Okay. We're gonna put some pepper in this. And that's basically it for that. Okay. And like I said, I'd hold off on the salt. because of salt in the tomatoes, and you'll have a little bit of salt in your mozzarella. Okay, now you're going to need about a half a cup of chopped green onions. So I've already got all those cut. You're going to need a garlic clove, and I'm just going to use garlic powder. I know that kind of sounds kind of weird, but we're just going to do that. And I'm going to need, I think I have to mix this basil with it. I do. Okay, so we're going to use a generous amount of basil so that we can taste it. All right, so about a quarter of a cup, I would think, would be good enough. And then I'm just going to kind of fluff all this together. Okay. It's not the prettiest thing ever, but it'll work. All right. Now, you don't have to wait until the crust cools. You can go ahead and start assembling, you know, as soon as you want to. I did let it rest a few minutes, but it's not completely cool. Okay. Don't forget, pre-bake the crust, 375 for 10 minutes. And make sure you prick the bottom with a fork. All right. So the first thing you're going to do, this should make 2 layers with your tomatoes. You are going to layer them in here. Make sure y'all can see good. Okay. Now I've never made one of these. I've never even heard of it. So this will be interesting. But I figure the taste will be similar to a pizza probably, because it's got a lot of the same flavors. Alright, so your next layer is going to be all your green stuff. Okay. And usually half of the tomatoes will be on the bottom layer and the other half will be on top. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my remaining tomatoes. And if you have to, you can overlap them. I believe this is a 9-inch deep dish pie pan to give you some sort of idea of measuring. And like I said, I used 5 Roma tomatoes. They weren't incredibly large. Some of them were good size, but most of them were, you know, average to small. Okay? And then you're going to take the rest of your green stuff. And I did read that green onions in this is extremely important. So, you know, I don't know, but you need it for the flavor, most likely. Okay. And then the next thing is going to be your cheese mixture. And I feel like I should have put more cheese in it, but we're going to do dollops because we don't want to mess up our layers or anything else. So you're going to do dollops, and then you're going to kind of spread it out a little bit, but you need to be very careful you don't dismantle your pie. Okay. I'm going to try to get this covered best I can. All right. And spread it out pretty good. Okay. All right. Probably shouldn't use my deep dish pie pan, but it's real pretty, so that's why I used it. All right, so right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to decrease my oven to 350. Let's start again. There we go. To 350. It was 375. We're going to lower it. We are going to bake this uncovered for 30 minutes. I'm going to put it on a cookie sheet. I don't think we're going to need it, but 30 minutes. And you need to watch your cheese on the top that it don't burn. It would just be better, you know, if it didn't burn. And then after we take it out, we're going to let it rest for 10 minutes. And then we'll cut into it and see how we did. But it's real easy and simple. You have a little bit of prep work to do, but other than that, simple, simple, simple. Alright, my oven's already hot, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven and let it cook for 30 minutes. And I'll be back here after I let it rest. Okay, y'all, so this is the finished product. I adhered to all parts of the recipe except for the basil part, as far as timing and everything goes. And as far as I know, it did great. My crust is a little bit, you know, broken. But I think if you don't do a deep dish pie pan, you should be fine. You could even probably go ahead and get the refrigerated or frozen pie crust at the store that's already in the little tin. Mine wasn't. I put it in my own pie pan. So that should work, and should work really well. Just don't do deep dish unless you're going to do several layers of the tomatoes. Okay, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.